Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to another computer science lecture. I hope all of you guys are doing fine. Okay, so we were discussing section 2, data communication, and in today's lecture we are going to discuss section number 2.1.2, that is types of data communication. So data communication basically can happen in about 7 different ways, and the first one of them is simplex. What is simplex data transmission? A one directional or one way data transmission from sender to receiver. Over here one way is the keyword, so always make sure to remember this word in your answer. For example, data sent from a computer to printer. Whatever data you send for the printing, it goes to the printer, it is printed, and then it is deleted. That data is not received back by the computer. Or for example, a radio or a TV broadcast. Your TV station is able to send you some signals or your TV set, whereas you cannot use your TV set to send a reply back. So simplex transmission always happens in the same direction, in only one direction. The next one which we have is half duplex or duplex. It has two names. Sometimes the examiner calls it half duplex, sometimes the examiner calls it duplex. It is the two-way data transmission between a sender and receiver, but it cannot occur simultaneously. For example, when one guy is sending a message or speaking, the other cannot. He has to wait until this transmission is over, and only after that it can send the reply back. For example, a communication over a walkie-talkie or a wireless set, where if one person is speaking, the other cannot respond until the first person stops talking. The third one is full duplex transmission. It is a two-way data transmission between sender and receiver that occurs simultaneously. Over here, two-way and simultaneously is the keyword. For example, a conversation over a telephone or cell phone, or a WhatsApp call or a Facebook call, and so on. Then we have two further types of data transmission. They are serial data transmission and parallel data transmission. Basically, this simplex, half duplex and full duplex, all three of them can happen over a serial connection or a parallel connection. Basically, this should not have been considered a type of transmission. Serial and parallel should have been considered a type of what you can say, it should have been considered a type of data transmission or a method of data transmission, setting up protocols. Now what happens in serial data transmission? That data is sent one bit at a time over a single wire or channel. Let's suppose this is the message to be sent 011000010. So then first of all this one would be sent over, then this one after it, then this, and then this, then this, then this, and so on. Okay, and since there is only one wire, so all the bits go one after the other on the same wire, and then the receiver receives them. Okay, now for example, the examples of serial transmission: data transmission from computer to printer, from a scanner to computer, from keyboard mouse to computer, and so on. Basically all of the devices in today's world, they use serial transmission. These are some examples of serial ports and connectors. This is a USB port which uses serial, and this is a USB connector. This is an HDMI cable connector, and this is an HDMI port. All of these uses serial data transmission. Next we have parallel data transmission. Multiple bits are transmitted over multiple wires simultaneously. Over here, multiple bits and multiple wires, these two are the keywords. For example, data transmission from computer to printer over a parallel port, or data transmission from computer to modem, your LAN or RJ45 port, or a data transmission from keyboard to computer via PS2 port. Nowadays PS2 ports are not used anymore, they are a bit of old technology, or a VGA cable, the one that is attached to your monitor. See over here, the sender is using 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 wires to send 8 bits together to the receiver. These are some examples of parallel ports and their connector. This is a VGA cable, this is a LAN port, and this is a PS2 port. Now what is the difference between these two methods, or what are the benefits and disadvantages or cons of these methods? Serial transmission is good for long distance, whereas parallel transmission is good for short distance. In serial transmission there is no issue of synchronization, whereas in parallel transmission data can be skewed. See, what happens is that when you are sending data over multiple wires, so what happens is this, like you are sending this message, for example, so sometimes if you are sending the message over a very long distance, so what can happen is that the wires sometimes bend over. So what happens is that instead of receiving the same message, this would be received at the receiving end. See, it has been shifted because while transmission some bits may reach earlier. This is the third bit, this 0 is the third bit, but it may reach before the second bit. Okay, so this can happen in parallel transmission. That is why we say that this is known as skewing of data, whereas that is why we say that data can be skewed or out of sync, so they are not good for long distance. If you have to send data over a long distance, we do not use parallel transmissions. In serial data transmission, transfer rate is slow because there is only one line. In parallel transmission there are multiple lines, so data transfer rate is faster. Serial transmission needs less setup cost, you only need to purchase one wire. Parallel transmission is not cost efficient because you have to set up and purchase multiple wires. Serial is cost efficient, parallel so because it only uses one wire, whereas and one major difference, serial transmission sends one bit at a time, parallel transmission multiple bits are transmitted at the same time. Then we have two more things, asynchronous and synchronous data transmission. In asynchronous data transmission, data is being transmitted in an agreed bit pattern. The sender and receiver decide pre-hand that in what pattern are they going to send the packet, and they are controlled. The start and end of a data packet is identified by control bits. This is the control bit, and this is also a control bit. This is a stop bit, this is start bit. The first bit that goes is a start bit, and after the packet the last bit that goes is a stop bit. After one packet has been sent, there is a gap or there is a delay, or there is a few seconds in which no data is sent, in order to make sure that the receiver understands that okay, one packet has finished. Whereas in synchronous data transmission, data is sent in a continuous stream of bits. There is no gap between data, and it is sent with timing signals instead of your control bits. So the benefit of that is that both the sender and receiver has the same timestamp on the file. both of them have exactly the same time stamp on file, so this is useful in making backups. For example, if there is a banking institution and they are having a backup, when you copy a file from one PC to another PC, the timestamp usually changes, but if you are using synchronous data, so the timestamp would remain the same, so that banking institutions and superstores are able to maintain financial records of their financial transactions for a over multiple backup servers for a very long time. And synchronous data transmission is faster than asynchronous because there is no gap between data packets. The next thing in this chapter is USB or Universal Serial Bus. Basically, in Cambridge syllabus, by the USB it means the USB interface means just the port, not the flash drive, means just this part, this interface, this connector, not the flash drive. It is the most common type of input-output interface or port found on today's devices. USBs allow both half and full duplex transfer. They are designed to be able to supply power and transmit data across a variety of different devices. Inside a USB cable there are 4 wires, a black, a white, a green and red. This is a positive wire, this is a this is a black wire, that is negative, and these two supply, these black and red lines supply power about 5 volts, whereas these two wires they transmit data in form of zeros and ones. Due to this feature, whenever there is a change of voltage, whenever you plug in a device in the USB port, so obviously there is a change in voltage, so the computer is able to automatically detect the device that okay, in port number 5 there has been a fluctuation in current, that means a new device has been connected, and the computer is able to detect the device and load its relevant drivers or ask the user to install the driver over the internet. Now there are some pros and cons or benefits and drawbacks of USBs. USB devices are automatically detected, but the maximum cable length of a USB cable cannot exceed 5 meters. USB has become an industrial standard. In almost every device USB ports are or cables are used. The maximum data transmission rate is limited to less than 500 MBs. You cannot have a rate higher than 500 MB per second on a USB connection. Newer USB standards are backward compatible, whereas earlier USB standards may lose support in future. The current version which we are using right now is USB 3.0. So it's possible that when USB 4.0 or 5.0 comes out, so they stop supporting USB 1.0 and 2.0. Several data transmission rates are supported over a USB connection, whereas even the latest USB interfaces, that is USB 3.0, is very slow as compared to some other connection types, for example Ethernet or your LAN connection. USB cable supplies plus 5 volts, thus external power source is not needed. That is why you do not need any battery to run your flash drive or your portable hard drive. You just plug it in, it gets the power from the port, the 5 volts from the port, and it works. And similarly, if you use a data cable to connect your cell phone to a laptop or computer, it starts charging automatically. USB ports can easily be increased by using hubs. If you want to increase the number of ports on your laptop or computer, you can easily do that by using a USB hub. Lastly, a drawback of it is that it does not provide broadcasting features, so only individual messages can be communicated between host and peripheral. USB ports do not allow the ability to send the same message or signal to multiple devices at the same time. USBs can only fit in one way, so incorrect connections are not possible. Okay, so this marks the end of our lecture for today. There are types of data communication. These are the methods which are used to communicate between two devices. I hope you guys have understood. If you have any problems, feel free to contact me. Take care. Allah Hafiz.